Hello and welcome to another Tonebase live stream. Welcome to our Tonebase subscribers and welcome to our YouTube audience. We are very excited because today we have something very special for you, because we are inviting our very dear friend Marco Tamayo, and we are going to talk about the path to virtuosity. Welcome to the show, Marco. I'm honored to have you back on the live show. How are you doing?
Thank you very much, Martin. I'm doing very well, very happy to be here. I want to thank you, and I want to thank also Misha. You guys are doing a great job, and I am very pleased and happy to be here with you.
Thank you so much. So Marco is a well-known guest on the live show and also on the productions that we have on Tonebase. And we are very excited because very soon we are going to release his next course, which will be the ultimate and definitive description on how to reach virtuosity on the classical guitar. But first of all, let's start with a question, Marco. What is virtuosity for you?
Well, this is a very interesting topic, and I'm very happy to have the chance to talk about this. Virtuosity for me, and I would like to explain in these 40 minutes that we have before the questions start. Virtuosity is actually an attitude in life. It's an attitude. It's a way, it's a decision that people have made in order to achieve certain goals. But you know, what people understand about virtuosity today is very much influenced by social situations, by social pressure. You know, people believe that playing fast or having success in certain piece is actually a way of being virtuous. And actually, I have my guitar here next. I would like to express with this what I want to say now. It is very important to understand that virtuosity, as I said, being an attitude, is a way of presenting whatever we do. In this case, if I go in a slow line, this is a phrase of one of the Ghiribizzi by Niccolo Paganini. So many years ago, I understood that it is also very important to try to express something with short notes. So if I get this note, the more contrast I achieve, between something sweet, something very tender, and then later coming that fast improvisation that I do in this piece, the more successful the musical message will be. So as well as playing fast or believing that fast is important, it is very important to use the technical resources we have, the musical resources as an instrument offered, in this case the guitar, with vibrato, with portamentos, with glissandos, with the different colors that we can produce. So everything I will do, everything what I will musically presenting here in the performance, in a concert, gotta be according to my decisions. And this is what at the end people will comment or will say, okay, very virtuous. Don't forget now, I would like to give you an example or a comment what the old Greeks were thinking about virtuosity or virtue, let's say, la virtud in Spanish. Aristotle was one of the greatest writers in the Greek time, and he spoke and gave many ideas about what virtuosic or virtuosismo would be, or virtue. And nobody has been born with this. These are things that people learn according to habits, habits that we repeat, that they get into habit after repetition. For example, nobody was born with a proper idea of doing good to others, or nobody was born with a fast scale. So virtuosismo is for me an attitude in life that we choose, an attitude, a demanding attitude, a will of developing, to achieve certain goals, a will of working hard with good arguments in order to get those goals in a certain way. This is what the concept of virtuosity is. And this, of course, includes many, 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 many parameters. According to the guitar, if I can continue extending a little bit the idea,
please.
In order to achieve a high level of performance, we need to fulfill certain levels in this pyramid. Imagine now that pyramid of Maslow. Many people have studied this in philosophy or at school, that we need to fulfill, to have solved the basic levels of, and then we climb, we go jumping one after the other until we can reach the top. So for the performance on the classical guitar or in music in general, it is very important to have, as I always have commented, the basic movement learned and solved, and really they have to be a part of yourself. As I said, this excellence, this virtuosic character or way of being comes after constancy and proper habits. Then we get these proper movements, then we have the proper fingerings according to the principles, which are physiognomical according to our body. Then a proper way of practicing is very important. A system of practicing, practicing without the mistakes, practicing within the practice system. There are, let me explain this well, there are certain levels also. At the beginning, when you are getting to know the piece and making the fingerings, it is important, of course, that you allow yourself to do mistakes. This is human, because nobody was born playing the prima vista perfectly, already with all the perfect combination of fingerings and phrasing and ornamentation. Even Johann Sebastian Bach had mentioned that, because he was given a test once to read something that somebody wrote, and he mistake what the prima vista, and he said, nobody have been born. If I mistake, nobody have been born able to play perfectly the prima vista. So at that level of practicing, at that stage of practicing, we allowed ourselves to do mistakes. Next level is to create good habits to myself, in this case. I need to learn properly the piece. I need to create good reflexes. There are a lot of nuances and a lot of important things there to discuss. But in general, we learn the piece correctly, properly, in order to create good habits. Then we have to perform the piece several times in order to cure it. Let's say, in Spanish, I would say, saturarla de errores. I mean, to make enough mistakes, to have experience doing the mistake and correcting the piece, correcting ourselves while playing, doing a mistake and then continue, but trying to correct, trying to don't be destroyed. It's actually a very psychological work, very hard. Then we may be ready to go on stage. So I divide the practicing system in 3, and I divide the whole process also in 3. You could have, different chapters in this process, but I think this is the way of achieving a secure performance that you say, for example, I get the guitar, and I'm not afraid to do, if I got to do that scale, I need to have the trust into myself, trust on my timing, on my fingers, on my relaxation and everything, in order that I get the guitar. And if I'm talking like this, and I get, whatever you're gonna do, gotta be in a feel of trust. And this is coming, this is learned after practicing with good habits. This is actually, in general, what the concept would be. Now, I would like also, if you're interested, maybe you have some questions, or people will have questions later. Maybe this talk raise questions. But Martin, maybe you wanted to comment something.
First of all, it's absolutely fascinating. I don't want to interrupt one single second of that, because like you bring together so many important topics for an aspiring performer when it comes to forming habits and having a goal in mind why we do these habits. I think this is often what people forget when they talk about virtuosity and talk about developing a technique. It's about reaching an ideal state of what you want a certain performance to be. And what you played initially was so tender and beautiful, and it was nothing like the fireworks that one might expect when talking about who's the fastest in the world. But it's about the control and about the emotional range that you are able to express as a performer. And this is so fascinating for me. So I just wanted to highlight for everybody, if you have questions, we are gonna have a Q&A section at the end of this live stream. Please feel free to use this either in the tonebase function to click Q&A or write them in the chat on YouTube. If you accommodate this with a donation in order to help our YouTube channel out a bit, then I can see those questions a bit better. But for now, Marco, this is I've been meeting you like over the course of my life, I say now, several times. I've met you in Salzburg. I met you, I think, also in Gevelsberg, and of course in Düsseldorf,
Yes.
and then anywhere else. And it's always such a source of deep knowledge and expertise and wisdom on the instrument. And I'm just thankful to sit here and listen to you and have a good time.
Thank you very much. It's really an honor to me, to be here for you and for tonebase and for all the listeners. And I would like to tell you, to go a little bit deeper on my own path. My own path, since, everybody knows I have been born in Cuba, and I have been very hard educated, hard in a good way. I had a great teacher in Cuba who was called, he lives in Mexico, Antonio Alberto Rodriguez. And then I was a student of Leo Brauer and different other people. Had great colleagues and masters like Guidon Kremer and Nicolaus Harnoncourt, and great friendship like a brother, and also learning from him, from Joaquin Clerch and many, many, many other people, and John Williams, etc. So, but at a certain point, being young, I do remember the typical comparison with others. You compare to yourself with the others, and then great friends, I do remember my great dear friend, fantastic guitarist, Ricardo Gayen, the guy, he can put the hand like this, and the thumb, he can put it there, he can put the thumb there. He's so flexible. This guy is amazing. David Martinez, I'm friend, thanks God, with everyone, with you, Martin, with Mircha, since long time. So, at a certain point, everyone start to compare, me for myself, the other for themselves. Maybe we compare indirectly or directly. And then you think, well, how can I get that flexibility? How can I get that thing? It's not necessary. It's not necessary. So I have been always researching and looking for a way in which everyone can express themselves. And what I understood is that this comparison actually annihilates or reduces your potential, the expressing potential of each one. Because then we are already comparing with the possibilities of others, and nobody's happy with what they have. They wish what the other have. I have great things that maybe the others don't have. And maybe they wish the same, but to have it. But then I do remember watching all this situation and people comparison, and that's why I think it's very dangerous when everyone has to play the same program or academies. It is good and it is dangerous. It is good and dangerous. So the teachers have to be very careful, because during the process, through the process of learning, the students compare themselves. And I have been also compared by others. And at a certain point, I had my own comparison. But then I came across, I said, all this is nonsense. I need to find a way to myself. And I developed something which is very connected to the human construction, how the way we are built, the physiognomy of our body, based on what my teachers showed me since I was a kid. And that's why the idea of the principles and the movements and the rules to connect them in the same way, like in physics, that the physical rules in our universe and the mathematics and the ABC. But what is important is to trust on yourself and to be constant. And I wanted to say, this is really very interesting. Every hand is good. Every hand is flexible enough to achieve that what we are in need of. No more. Everybody is able to do it. Nobody was born more virtuous than others. Each one has differences, and all is about to find a way to express ourselves. This way, which is particular, has to start in the general. With this, I want to say, learning general rules, and then everybody will find their own way to express themselves. Rules are there to be learned, and then after the rules, the exceptions. What we cannot do for complete anarchic the education of the instruments. I had some festival, have been in some festival, actually in Germany, and I do remember friends of mine, great musicians, that to me, but why do you teach like this? I would just talk about phrasing and everything, but nothing about fingerings. But if you see someone in need of that, you cannot just let that guitarist say, okay, you find your fingerings yourself. Maybe that guitarist has not yet the proper arguments to find it, but if I let them run by them, they may get lost. So there have to be some rules that give a stable floor, and then people can run afterward their own way. And this is what is important in the education as well as in the practicing system. And a secure and healthy performance is what at the end we will say, okay, that's this guy or that girl or that person is very virtuous. He's really virtuosic. You can be virtuous in the kitchen too, cooking, cutting onion. So you see, those are things that are a consequence of a good habit of good practice with arguments. So for me, has been always a lot of trust. I had a lot of trust, and I also had a lot of doubts. 2 days ago, I still was changing fingerings of pieces that I play already a lot, and I know they work that way, but I think there is a way of making it still better. And so I'm experimenting and recording to me for my practice. I recorded, and then I go to have a nap, and I go to sleep listening to this, and then I fall asleep. Somehow the brain is still working. So constancy is very important. When you are really into this frequency, then we achieve a level of communication and certain frequency, which is incomparable. It's so marvelous. That's actually what feeds us. And this is what then we express in the concert. This is actually, for me, what my path of virtuosity have been. We can get, of course, deeper into that. But
it's absolutely beautiful. So let's talk a little bit about specifics. For example, when we were talking, for example, about fingerings, because as you said, most importantly is to have trust in yourselves. But as you were saying, you're still also changing fingerings up until very, very short moment of a concert, for example. What makes you what does a fingering needs to deliver in order to give you enough trust that you're accepting a certain kind of fingering?
Very good question. First of all, you are a very comfortable body feeling. If I'm performing a piece and I feel that I'm not that comfortable yet with that passage, could be that every now and then has a mistake, or that I don't feel really 100% relaxed, or everything we play has to be as easy as this. Now, whatever I'm going to play fast, if I play something fast, I cannot feel more tension than what I feel here. So if I'm going to play, for example, let's say, well, I didn't change the tuning, but you all got it. So if I go, so it cannot cost me more. I cannot get more tensions in my body than in the Un Día de Noviembre. It has to be the same, because otherwise I would not feel safe, and we will not feel safe. And this is actually something that everybody knows. Every guitarist which is around listening to this talk knows it. It has to be the same. You know, I play the arpeggio chromatic on the piano, or you go just 2 notes, feeling gotta be the same. Comfortable feeling. So you are gonna change and experiment until you get that feeling the whole way through the piece, throughout the whole performance. And either breathing, you know, controlling if your breath, or a bad habit in the practice, or whatever of these elements that we said before, these levels have not been really well, let's say, practiced or learned. But sometimes is the reason why to change a finger for me is a musical need. You know, well, I heard that, I imagined that piece on the first string because I want to metallic that passage, and now I'm going to change because I want to be more effective to the contrast, whatever. But the reason, you know, the practicing is actually to unify these parallel lines. What my body, what I want to do with the piece, as a musical language, as a message, and what my body is doing with it. And this got to be together. So all the practice is for that. Imagine this, what I say, 2 parallel lines that, you know, like an electrocardiogram that goes at the beep, beep, beep. All our practice, all what we do is, in order to get them together, I do it against my t-shirt, so you see it black, you know. If they are like this place, then you get stress. So all what we do, the reason why we practice, is to unify these 2 lines, which is actually my idea of the piece, what I want to express with it, and what my body is doing right now with it. And until these 2 lines are not together, these two paths are not together, then you got to work.
Brilliant, fantastic, thank you. So imagine I'm a young student of yours. I come with you with a certain piece, and there's just a passage where you tell me, oh, you got to be more relaxed, and I struggle with it because I cannot be more relaxed, because this is the position where I'm sometimes with my very own students, where I know it would work if they would just relax a little bit more. But telling someone, okay, you got to be more relaxed, often is not the solution. So what are your go-to methods in order to make someone more relaxed with their instrument?
Exactly. Very, very good question too. I mean, all the questions you place always have been fantastic. First of all, you have to find the reason. I need to find the reason why there are tensions. Which hand is provoking the tensions? Maybe it's a matter of practicing, but you know, you could be not relaxed because of have been learning the mistake. Have been learning the mistake because a bad habit in the practice. You know, stopping always in the same place, starting twice. For example, if I'm gonna practice this passage now, and I say, I do it wrong, then you see the 4th or the 5th time started. That's wrong, because in the concert you have 1 time to do it good. So I needed to get the guitar, and I go. So it got to be at once, and I got to practice until I am ready. Even if the hands are cold or warm, I'm ready to do it once. So mentally reason, you know, psychological reason to be tense could be this, a wrong system of practice. Then, in case that that's not the case, I would try to find out which hand is provoking the tension, what is not really working. Because sometimes we believe it's the left, but probably it's the right, or opposite, or vice versa. So I would check everything. It's like doing a full control, you know, a fully check of your car, everything, because you don't know what the problem is. And then, you know, computer, whatever. So I would really check all. If the fingering, then I would reduce the passage to the shortest cell possible and start from shortest to longest, from simple to complex. That's the first pedagogical principle. You know, the first pedagogical principle on learning is always from short to long, from simple to complex, which does not mean that we need to practice only this way. We also need to practice the long phrases and the full piece. But if I have a problem there, I cannot play from beginning to the end all the time, because every time this problem comes, I create fear in my mind. And then it is impossible to be relaxed. Our mind acknowledge fear as a danger, and everything that is dangerous, because the society educates us this way, is a reason for tension. So you need to find out, or we need all to find out, if that tension is psychological or physical. Then I can find a way how to solve it. With whatever student, you know, if it's a small kid or if an older person, a beginner or a more developed, doesn't make a difference. The system is the same, because you need to find out where the reason of the tension lies. Psychologically, because of a bad practice. That's what I mean, psychological, you know, a bad habit, or a physical thing in the performance.
Fantastic. So I would like to hear your thoughts about, because you were saying you need to be ready in order to go to grab the guitar and play a passage quickly. What are your thoughts on slow practice, actually?
Slow practice is to learn and to correct. You know, a guitarist normally, especially guitarists, more than all other musicians, practice 60-70% of the time, of the practicing time, in slow tempos, which is actually very bad. Because then we don't get used to playing the tempo. Never. Your body never reacts. We don't create this trust under these adrenaline circumstances. I do, and my students know, they know this very well. I do teach, even in winter, with no heating or as less as possible, and sometimes with windows a little bit open, so the people get used to play with the cold hands. I do myself, because on stage, the hands are always cold. Seldom we have warm hands on the stage. And it's not only about guitarists, cellists, violinists, piano players, but the guitar is an instrument of a lot of nuances and a lot of small things. For us, whatever small is very big. You know, for the piano player, 1 millimeter in front of back in the key doesn't make really difference. But for us, a 100th of a millimeter makes a difference, make a noise here. So we need to be very demanding. So for me, it's really very, very important to create this trust, to create the trust of practicing in the real tempo. And slow tempo is when something is not working, that I have already 3-4 times the same problem, I don't know what it is, then I need to go slow, because you have no time at that speed to check everything. Or to learn in order to create good reflexes. But practicing slow all the time, 60-70% of your time, is very dangerous, because the body never reacts. One comparison, I compare something very interesting. I mean, people who have the driving license, if you never got your car 130 or even more on the highway, if you never did it, it's impossible that you get the driving license. At least in Austria, you have to have, I think, 3,000 hours if you do it on your own, 3,000 hours on the highway, or in general, and then 120 on the highway or something like this. So you need to have trust, to create trust, and to know what the feeling is, and the distance, how you stop in front of the other car, and on ice and on snow. Same is here. We need to practice in real tempo. I do wake up in the morning after drinking my coffee or sometimes before, get the guitar and play some Paganini or some Bach. And sometimes some little mistakes happen. But then I work and I know I'm pushing myself to achieve this under conditions which are reality. This is a reality. I don't believe in warming up too much because on the stage the hands are cold. So I need to be able to wake up from bed, and after doing this, maybe then I had to play. Then I need to play. You just get the feeling, but you gotta play, because this is more or less what we do on the stage. Tune the guitar, and then if I go, so you see, and I do it again. I try to control my, so if I'm gonna work and I'm like this, cold, so I say, okay, which hand went faster, so, but it's one time that I have to play it, and then I work on that. Okay, so you are not there, how can I put everything in one line, what my body does with the piece, what my idea of the piece is, what went faster, how. This is a practice.
I just want everybody, just 1 second, please, just 1 second. I just want everybody to appreciate that you sit there and you talk fascinating stuff for like extended period of minutes, and then you grab your guitar and then you play Paganini. What is it? 12th, 5th? No.
This is Capriccio 17.
17th, and you sit there and you play it, and it's amazing. So you practice what you preach, which is fantastic. And I just wanted to add one thing to what you were saying, because I of course I know you a little bit, so which is why I already know a little bit about what you were thinking about slow practice. And what I wanted to add there is what I find is super important in order to build that trust, because you cannot run in slow motion. When you try to make a 100-meter sprint and you want to optimize your movements, at one point you gotta run, and and it's the same thing when playing fast on the guitar.
Exactly. So, and then I would practice this. You just pointed out perfectly. You gotta practice there, then focus, and then you say, okay, well, I give you possibilities, So I started, but I wasn't yet there. Okay, so learn to don't start before your mind controls the timing and everything. But more than really remembering or reminding the brain, this is just a feeling. It's a body feeling. So, for example, if I go to practice this now, I will go slow because, let's say, I give you an example. So here there is a change of angle. Then okay, so I finish from here. Always, I'll go. That would be my practice from before. So that's the core before the scale. Now, and the same. And then, and it goes this way. So I got to practice the connection and my mental disposition, condition in order to play the scale. But of course, before that, you need to have clear what really scale is about, in the movement. When I have this trust, then I practice in the tempo. Not necessary to go much faster, not necessary to go slower. I mean, for fun, sometimes I really have been playing the pieces much, much faster, just to have a little bit backup, for me, more room. But it is dangerous because if I know I can do it faster, then I can go even faster later on the stage. And I like to go 100% of to take a risk. And so I really don't do this of playing faster than what the real speed would be, what the actual speed of the piece. So I do the real practice in the real tempo. And slow is to correct or to learn. Now, if I want to have a feeling of calm, and control my breathing, practicing my breathing, which is also very important to practice. Then I do the piece slow, complete, and say Allegro, Bach, or 998, or 1006, or 1003, or whatever, or Colibri. I do it slow a couple of times, just controlling my breathing, and then immediately I go in the tempo. And that feeling should stay from slow to the real tempo. As I said, like Un Día de Noviembre. The same quietness, the same trust, the same, nothing is happening. I think this is the maximal, the maximal expression of what, let's say, an outreach would be for me.
Yeah. So just regarding the intermediate player who has been playing their whole life and suddenly wants to go into that direction, is there any advice that you're having when grabbing the guitar, playing fast, or are you in any way concerned about avoiding injuries when starting too fast, too early? And I'm pointing it towards the idea that sometimes we don't know if we have too much tension. And when we start off and we play fast and it's not working, we try to overcompensate with even more tension. So what would your recommendations would be for someone who wants to go that way?
Yeah, very good. So injuries actually come from doing something wrong. Injured all the time. You cannot injure yourself if you don't do wrong things. The natural position of the hand, for the performance is this. Nobody goes on the road this way with the fingers like this in tension. You can see here, all the tendons are just in tension. The natural position when you're relaxed is this. If the performance is based on our naturality, either in the piano, we can do that. In the piano, we can do things. But basically, we have always to come back. We need to come back to this position, piano or guitar. So if my performance is based on extensions, which are exceptions, I'll give you one example. If I do... This is a capriccio number 11 from Paganini. Now, how I do the extension? There are principles and way of doing the extension. Where do you place the thumb? If I go here and I show you fast, the fourth finger is not really far. It's not really far from the thumb. The hand is centered more to the fourth finger position. Being relaxed and not doing extension this way, when it's not necessary, so doing the extension this way, it is impossible to have an injury. And this I should be able to do also with cold hands, right when you come out of bed. Because when I come out of bed, I'm able to do a coffee, with my coffee machine. If I'm able to do this, why I cannot be able to do an extension here if it's well, let's say, learned. And that's actually the important point, the crucial idea. If I need a special preparation, if I need to be warm for doing that extension, then I can get injuries on the concert even, because in the concert, the hands are basically cold. And so through relaxation and through natural movements, and always coming back to relaxation, it is impossible to have injuries. Now, I think it is important just to have very good fingerings, very good basic movements, and to use extensions in this case, regarding the left hand, only when they are needed, only when it is needed, to do an extension. The performance has to be based on naturality, as natural as possible. So what I see around nowadays is people just doing crazy stuff like this, like playing flat. Many schools, you know, the forefinger playing like this flat. What happens when the forefinger is flat is that we are pressing from here, from the whole arm. And this is actually a different position, you see. It's not the same to press the string this way or this way. So when I press the string here, I will never disturb the lower string, so I would have a clean legato, really legato, and then also for the polyphony, for Baroque music and for the music in general. And I will not have more tensions in my body. The fingers will work equally, let's say. Now, if one finger moves differently than another, this may bring troubles. May. I don't say that it will, but it may bring troubles. So I think the way of getting or developing is always checking, what are we doing? Okay, can I improve in my performance now? I have tensions in my right hand because I'm playing all the time in the air. My hand is pulling outside. Well, maybe I have to have some reference points in my right hand, etc., etc. The hand will be fixed like every jazz player would do, like this, in the air, like that. Nobody will be able to, either here or there. But in the air, no. So if we are playing all the time with our hand this way, it's very dangerous. So I don't think that it's also healthy that people just wake up in the morning now with that technique that maybe is not yet working and do this, what I'm saying. It's not healthy. It could be dangerous, you know. It is important that we revise, as I said before, the whole car. Everything, the 20,000 pieces that more or less conform a car, got to be revised. But everybody can do it, and this is what is interesting.
At this point, I wanted to highlight that you released a exceptional book. It's called, I think it's called Essential Principles. Would you mind talking a little bit about that, and especially where they can get it?
Yes, look, this book have been released, I think 2016 or 17. I mean, the editorial was based on 2014. Let me say, my editorial, which runs under my name, is not a company on which I really ever expected to be millionaire. No, not at all. This is a company, you know, that release my ideas without asking anybody else what they think, if they agree or not. So this is the reason. So it's something that I want to put out officially and as cheap as possible. There is a website, marcotamayoedition.com, and then you can type shop.marcotamayoedition.com and then /English or Spanish. The book is released there and many other scores also. The book is called Essential Principles for the Performance on the Classical Guitar. And it goes essentially about this. The movements, essential movements, which are 8, the 28 principles in order to combine those movements, and a lot of different things from breathing to relaxation, facing and really pointing out some problems that all of us have suffered and how to improve in those, you know, up to a high level. The book is to find there. People can get it through PayPal, you know, paying PayPal or a bank account for international things. PayPal is convenient and it's safe enough. It's safe, you know, it's really safe. We get orders every day, more or less. Since the pandemic time, you know, with the COVID and everything, the posts have been a little bit irregular. Even in England, there are a lot of strikes with the post still today. Yeah. And it sometimes takes time. But the customers, they are still paying only the priority sending, and we are sending it even recommended with a tracking number. So we are covering that side, that side of the cost. And the book is just to get there. I repeat, shop.marcotamayoedition.com. Everybody can find it. And it goes about these essential things. Because I was always researching and unhappy, following patterns that I didn't think, I still don't think that they bring to a result. So I wanted to find a way which is trustable and easy, you know, that I can really wake up and can do it. You know, I want to have a knife for cutting meat that I don't have every 3 minutes to you know, you say to sharp. I don't have to, it have to be good enough. You see what I mean? Otherwise, you better throw it away and buy a new one.
Yeah.
So, you know, yeah, I mean, if I have to sharpen it every time I cut one little piece of meat, then maybe the material is not good, or the meat is not good. So,
Also
yeah, it
possible.
could be. Yeah. So I want to get out of bed and, just get my guitar and enjoy. I always wanted to, I was asking myself why the piano players can play easy, they don't have a piano just behind the stage. And I also played piano for many years. So I could establish the comparison straight away. I said, when I sit at the piano, well, I had a very good teacher, a Russian teacher in Cuba, Ines Makashenko, fantastic teacher. And then I could do things. And why the guitar is so complicated? So you have not, the guitar is fine, it's good. And it's beautiful instrument, one of the most beautiful that exists, because we don't have so many octaves, but we have many ways of being virtuoso.
Yeah.
And they are coming back to virtuosismo or virtuosic path. I can have very fast scales. I have been playing with great musicians together at this for fun, Maestro, Grisha, Goryachev, even Paco, and I can have very fast scales, but the piano player will have it faster than me. And a piano player will have it in thirds and in octave, and for 7 octave almost. So it is good to have the scale. But what they cannot have is the change of colors I have, the vibrato that I can use, the imitation of a trill in 2 strings or in 1 string, the slurs, the rasgueos effect, which is actually like a little bit of noises, but it's like breaking paper. It's a beautiful thing. This noise almost nobody can produce. It's not this. That's under pressure. I mean, we call rasgueo, but this rasgueo actually is the imitation of the sound when you get a paper and you rasguear. In Spanish, we say rasguear. So it's to break a paper. This noise that the nails, many nails on the same string do produce, is marvelous. And everybody wishes to have this in Asturias. Nobody can have it except guitarists in this way. The harp cannot have it because they don't have nails and they cannot do the things so easy. Maybe in some Asian instruments. So you see, I think our virtuosity have to combine both things, especially all these kind of resources that we have. And as Segovia said, coming back to one great master, the guitar always have to sound beautiful. The concept, aesthetical concept of beauty, very important. Coming back to Greek, also philosophers and Italians at the time, a concept of beauty. What is beauty? For each one is different, it could be different, but there is a unified concept of beauty. And a noise is made out of different frequencies which are not in order. They provoke, they give you this feeling of irritation, not comfortable. Something harmonic, harmonical, something peaceful, is a sound or a chord, frequencies that are, let's say, homogeneous. They combine, they are well combined, they transmit quietness, right? Or not. It could be a diminished chord, which is more dramatic. So you see, the concept of beauty is something a little bit above us already in the humanity, in the universe, exists. And Segovia was pointing this very well out because the guitar is one of the instruments that can produce a lot of noises. And we know this, it's really hard. So be aware, that's my suggestion for everyone, the guitar always has to sound beautiful. If we play fast, it has to sound beautiful. If we play slow, it has to sound beautiful anyway.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So at this point, I would like to jump into some of the questions. First, I'm going to jump into the questions of our tonebase users in our tonebase chat. Then I'm going to jump into YouTube. But I want to highlight we got one donation of $2 on YouTube, which helps our YouTube channel out a lot. So we are very thankful for that. Thank you so much. By Nice Guitar. The name is Nice Guitar, and yeah. Guitars are nice. So,
you're great.
The first question that we have here, by the name is not, but the question is, popular methods teach us to use staccato to increase speeds. It seems to me, though, this trains the fingers to prepare out of sync with the rhythm of the music. What are your thoughts about staccato practice?
I don't agree that too much, because the thing that we miss in the guitar is a legato, actually, compared to other instruments. The legato is what we miss. Beethoven, if I remember well, said the pedal is the soul of the piano. So you see, the pedal, because it produces, it gives you the possibility to have a blanket, a whole base of legato. Legato is also possible in the piano to achieve. Here, connecting two keys, well, the sounds have to mix a little bit, and then this one is left later. The guitar by itself has a lot of staccato. You're already changing positions, basically. It's a staccato performance. So what we miss is legato. And legato, I'm going to give an example. I try to respond this as, in the short ways possible, but efficiently enough so that it's understood. What I need to practice is how to don't stop the sound, but still to prepare a little moment before that you don't hear this. So that's easy to do. And when you do, if I do, or what we miss is the legato, especially if it's chromatic. So if I play, you see, if I go here, what we need is the resonance of this harmony together. Is no point. I won't be more precise cutting the notes if my fingers already know how how the movement is. So I don't need to practice a staccato. And actually, playing all the scales as staccato is a wrong musical approach. There are scales which are staccato and scales which are legato. But the staccato, as I said, is something that the guitar has basically by itself. And the legato is what is missing. So I would always support more the legato and work for it. Then playing the staccato is quite easy. The same way is with the slower here. The slower basically should be learned apoyando, down, not lifting the finger, because otherwise this is going to be difficult. You see? Now, the slower, but for this we have also a course in tonebase about, should be learned apoyando. I do it like this, as you see. I mean, apoyando, touching the other string and relaxing immediately. If I'm able to do that, then this, then it's easy. Or you see? So you don't do this, you do this, and the last one is down. So this is actually the idea of playing trills with fingers which are more far away from the balance line. And the same is with the staccato here.
Wonderful. What an answer. Thank you. Let's make a whole course out of that.
Yes.
So next question by Eric. Overall, for an intermediate player trying to move to the next level, how much importance and time should be spent on technical exercises, scales, arpeggios, etc., as opposed to working on individual passages from pieces?
It depends in where you are, where we are in that case. If I am a medium level student or performer and I want to continue practicing, to continue developing, it depends how far I am technically, musically, how far my skills are developed. Some people need more from one one element, let's say, to work more in the sketch. But I don't think that we need technical exercises. All what we need is to understand which are the basic movements and how to apply them to yourself, to the physiognomy, of your body. I don't think that if I'm a middle level student and I have to develop my skills, I don't need that I have to practice 6 hours or 4 hours or even 2 hours a day scales. It could be wrong, because if you get now a book with a lot of scales, but the movements are wrong, instead of developing, what we do is learning bad. So it's a bad habit. And now let's analyze what is a scale. A scale is a run of notes, either in half tones, chromatic or diatonic. That's the maximum interval that we have for the scale. Is a second interval. It cannot be a third, because otherwise it would be an arpeggio. So arpeggio is minimum interval is a third, after scale is a second interval. So a run up or down of second intervals or half tone interval chromatic. And on guitar is either in one string or changing strings. And here a combination of fingers this way and shifting. That's all what a scale is. I can do a scale also in arpeggio if I combine. Let me give you an example very fast. I could play here now. You know this piece, and now could be this way. So, or so many possibilities. So many possibilities to play that scale. Now, if I do, I'm doing here campanella and here an arpeggio. So if I know how to do arpeggios and I know how to do this, then I'm able to play scales. So if I play it's my choice. It's my choice. That's why I said at the beginning that virtuosism is actually an attitude in life, and it's a decision that you make. If I know how to do that, if I know how to do this, then I can play basically every scale. There is no point on doing this in order to improve my scales, because you will never play in any musical piece in a scale like this, because that's a scale which is asymmetrical. And if I have a piece in 2/8 or 6/8, then I will. You see the accent? It would be. Mi fa sol. It will not be never do re mi fa sol la si, do re mi fa sol la si, do sol la si. So according to the accent, the fingering of the scale will change. So the idea of this pattern of scale is actually to know the fingerboard, but not to be used musically this way. So everything goes back to the basic movements and the principles. And that's all what a scale is, or an arpeggio, or so it's very simple, very simple. I think we are complicated as a human being, but the system is very simple.
That's it.
We are too complicated sometimes. So, you can be in the middle school, but being a very developed, skilled guitarist. But it could be also at the end of the university, still be struggling with the scale. So I don't think that the levels determine anything in this case.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. We have a couple of more questions. Some of them overlap, especially the next one when we talk about basic principles and basic movements. Talking about scales, arpeggios, where and how do you teach your students to achieve a virtuosic tremolo?
A tremolo is no more than an arpeggio. So P-A-M-I. If you want a flamenco tremolo, it's P-I-A-M-I, P-I-M-A-I. And there are principles for arpeggios, isn't it? As we have also everybody in the world, every humankind has 5 fingers, and the thumb is on this side, and the pinky is here, and the middle finger is the longest of all of them, etc. I don't know anybody with his finger longer than the middle. I don't know a person with a ring finger longer than the middle one. Could be, but I don't know it. And maybe those are 0.003% of the amount of humankind on the planet. I mean, those fingers, which are more here on that side, are more far away from the balance line of the hand. But all this, again, is explained in those courses that we have in tonebase and in the book. Now, the principle of the pressures is always that from P to A, all got to be prepared. Because this movement, I'm going to show you, this movement here is natural, this not. There may be exceptions, but nobody does this naturally. Everybody will do this naturally. So, how to achieve a good tremolo? The idea is also to prepare. If this direction is what is difficult, then these fingers have to land together, the same like in an arpeggio. And there we have the study number 6 by Brouwer. Etc., which was showing us already how to do a tremolo, which is no more than that arpeggio, but on one string. 3 fingers are on one string. So if I go here, especially on the second string, it's convenient to prepare because otherwise the hand will not have a leader finger and it's easy to get the wrong strings. So you see, if I prepare, you see, together with the thumb, as you can see there in the string, then I can do even rubato with my tremolo. And now if I have a portamento, a moment that I don't want to stop the sound, then I don't do that. But basically, as a tremolo is an effect, if you prepare even, you have your hand very secure, people will not hear the stop. People will not hear the stop because there is a follow of notes so fast that our brain will fill that hole. That's why people should not worry too much about that preparation, because tremolo is not meant to be played slow, it's to be played fast. So if we have ta 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 ta, you know, so many notes and one is missing, you still hear it. But what we need is to be constant, regular, and secure, especially in the strings with second, third strings. And without preparation, everybody knows, and the people who are around, all here are guitarists. They know I'm talking the truth because everybody has problems on second string with tremolo. Everybody. And then we go piano and slowly to the mistake or play IM. Yeah, I don't think that is the secure way of developing the guitar technique.
So we have one more technical question, and then we have a beautiful musical question. The last technical question here.
Or what you want.
From our tone-based chat. How do you teach your students to achieve a beautiful tone with free stroke?
With a free stroke.
Yeah.
Okay. As a sound which is sweet and loud has nothing to do with force. I mean, to play loud has nothing to do with force. This we need to understand. The basic of performance is always relaxation. So the pressure that we use, that we apply on the string, the pressure, is all what is needed in order to produce a loud sound. Now, let me warn you all from something. I also was told at certain point, but never did it. Don't do this of pressing inside the guitar before you pluck, believing that then you will play loud. This is not healthy. To press into the guitar and then to pluck means to have tension before any plucking. The string has about 4-6 kilos, sometimes even more kilos of pressure. To press a string down with one finger is a lot of work. It's a lot of pressure for the hand. It's not natural. This is not our natural movement in the hand. Our natural movement in the hand is this. So we don't do that and then that. We weaken our hand if we do this, right? So we don't press into the guitar. We pull into the hand, talking about tirando, which comes anyway out of an arpeggio position. We press into the hand, I will show you the guitar, into the hand, and with a movement which is more or less, let's say, parallel to the line of the strings. I will show you on the guitar immediately. The ramp that we have in our nail, with the shape that we give to our nail, is what? While I press into my hand, the ramp press the string a little bit down. So the string comes back here, and as I press back, comes back also here. And what happens is, will sound this way, will vibrate this way. This is the full round sound. I show it to you. Now here, do like this, that you can see well. So, look at my ring finger. I have my pinky there, but you can see the ring finger well. You see? Now, the fingers are moving into the hand. You see? You see it? That's a practice of independence. Now, if I play now apoyando, listen, this is apoyando, that's tirando, is igual. You hear? Then, if I do that, now, there is no reason why this should happen, or like this. This will be a color for certain moment. So, and it's a touch, it's a plucking with two contact points. You see? Now, this could be metallic, and this could be sweet. Now, if I combine it better, then it is, of course, then I have more contrast. But to play here doesn't mean that you're playing sweet. If I play like this, because what we call metallic is this high frequency noise of the plucking, like if two metals crash against each other. That's what we imagine here. Here, no. So it's not only the area where you are playing, it's the way you pluck. And to equalize the sound of the instrument, the sound on one string, is this what we need. Is to plug inside, and I can then choose what, not the wrist, look at my wrist is doing nothing, what my finger is doing. This or this. Now, if you look at this joint here, it's not going inside, it's going inside. And according to the angle you are placing your nail on the string, then you have the different sounds. But all goes about how the string vibrates. If my string vibrates like this only, like here, if I do, I'm pulling it up, or I do this, then you have a sweet sound. That's the physics about it.
That's fantastic. And I remember that when we were recording your upcoming Virtuosity course, that there's also an extensive passage about you talking about nails as well, where we supplement that with a beautiful graphic, handmade graphics. It's
Yes.
Looking forward to that.
I could do it now, but we will lose so much time. Better check the course.
Check the course when it comes out.
Yes.
Start a trial on tonebase now. Okay, one or two questions. They are more or less connected, and we haven't touched upon this, but I think it's a huge part of virtuosity as well. How to deal with emotional stamina?
Emotional stamina. Very good. Very good question.
Because you need to have, in order to express virtuosity, as you did in the beginning, you also need to have an emotional capacity and concentration in order to have the will to bring that out. and not go the easy way? Let me hear about it.
This is a fantastic question. I mean, it leads us to many, many, many things, many topics. But I think, well, emotional stamina, what I understand, and please, what is the name of the person that asked it? Maybe the name doesn't show, but in case, is there any name there?
It's Celiotis, B. Celiotis.
Okay. In case the question is not proper answer, please insist again in it. But, we are all emotional when we are about to perform. Now, what I understand, dealing with emotional stamina, you are talking about how to be beyond or how to go over this nervosity that we can get on stage. Is that the point, or is the question? I would like maybe that person can say yes or no only.
I think the question is also how to keep the music fresh after hundreds of repetitions.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, well, for me, for example, I always try. I really had a lot of experience even learning pieces that originally at the beginning I didn't like them, but I always thought that there is something that I can find there that can really get me, that can really allow me to do a creative work. And I have to get in love with the bass. It is impossible to go to competition. At my time, competitions were really with a huge program, very large program, and obligatory pieces, microtonal pieces, sometimes really demanding words that we had to learn. People know about it. I also know from few colleagues, very few, that we had to learn in 2-3 days, etc. Things like this. So you need to be in love with the work. And it's quite similar than the normal routines that we do in life. I drink my coffee, and I try to do my coffee every day in the same way. It's always different, but I do this latte art and the hearts, and I try to do my best every time. Most of the time works. Sometimes it's really terrible, and I throw it away and I do another one. So the same is in the performance of the music. For example, the 998 by Bach, which is a piece that I want. When I think on the theme, and I think on the magnificence of this idea of vom Himmel hoch, vom Himmel hoch, da komm ich her. So while I play this, so I'm thinking about the rhetorical, the musical, the text message, in this case. So I'm thinking about so how spiritual this can be, how can I almost approach the level of God while saying or playing that sentence. Vom Himmel, where is he staying? And then there is a comma, but there is no staccato. Vom Himmel hoch, da komm ich. And then I close, and I am in love with this thing. And then this. So every time I go and I wake in the morning and I play my fugue, basically the prelude seldom, because we should not underestimate it, but it's more demanding to start with a fugue, and then I go on allegro, and each time I play one semi-phrase or anything about this piece, I try really to imagine Bach, in his time, how spiritual this can be. How can I really express the apoyaturas in the better way? And then you can really get even emotional, like watching a film and a beautiful scene, a scene where the lovers are, missing each other, but finally they meet, whatever, and they have a beautiful music, and you can cry watching the film here in the television. So same way, I train myself to be emotional, and it is impossible that I get bored with this. I could play 24 hours a day. And every time I will try to be touching the door of God with the thing, you know. And when I go to the Allegro, then I want to express a, you know, happiness party. In Spanish would be algarabia, this kind of running one after the other, you know, celebration, which is not exactly what Barrios wanted to express with the Allegro of the Cathedral, but is inspired in the same piece. So you see, for me, it's not too difficult to keep this level of intensity, because I go very much on the rhetoric of the passage. For example, what I did before, and with this I think I started. There is a message, what you say, you know. And then so I'm thinking it's like a but one day, for example. So I'm thinking about, you know, we are discussing, but I wanted to remind you that, well, you know, but one day I remember I brought you this flower. Why don't you react to this? You know, I did many mistakes, all right, but I also had some care and some love for this, and you know, I'm human, I can mistake, but so you have. Now, this, what does it mean? No, this is already a variation by the composer, and this is mine. This is mine. This is not written in the Girivizi, but the Girivizis are written in order to improvise a little bit. So what I want to say with this, I want that maybe she's running away, maybe she's turned around, maybe there was something disturbing, but no, but I continued in my thing, because my goal is to tell you that it was not bad intended. Oh, there is a moment, and then so it is impossible, if I have a message, if I'm leaving, you know, this film, let's say, to get bored, I think.
I understand. So falling in love with the things that we do, and
Yes.
I think that's quite easy with the instrument that we have, because we're constantly hugging it. You know, we're so close,
Yes.
we're so intimate with our instrument the whole time, and
Exactly.
the way that you express yourself on the guitar, it's just so magnificent. Like the beauty of the sounds that you create, and then those explosive like moments of joy, that exhilarating explosions, fireworks. It's absolutely
Yeah.
beautiful, and it's been a joy to listen to that.
Thank you. It's the real life. The life is like this, you know. Suddenly the light goes and strikes, the internet
Then you
breaks.
gotta dance. So one last question. Well, we have one guy saying, "Thank you. I think you just gave me permission to stop practicing scales because you were saying that it comes natural."
Yes, that's very good. Just everybody can do scales if we have the right movements, and you know, I practice, for example, the passages of the pieces, you know, and the words. I don't do technique separated. Technique is necessary. I chose a little point, and then we go to the other question. Technique or technical exercises, certain amount of technical exercises are needed only to learn the proper movements and just the movements. The principles we don't learn with exercises. The principles are more theory and application in the pieces with the fingerings. Technique is only to learn the movements. When they are learned, when you know how to walk, then you just walk. You don't practice to walk anymore. You get, that's the thing.
Wonderful. So the very last question: do you thank you for the for the Tonebase live stream, says Tom. And the question is: do you have any plans to tour the US in near future?
Yes, actually, they have been since 2 years or 3 years trying to put together some good friends of mine and some presenters, some tours, so some concerts. So I mean, a tour in the US. I hope really happen this year, otherwise latest the next year, maybe towards November. It should happen. It should really take place. It's already a long time that I don't go back to US, and I think it's a good moment. It's a good
Wonderful.
moment. I
Wonderful.
hope at the end of this year or beginning of the next.
Fantastic. Thank you. So,
Thank you very
Marco,
much.
as I said, it's always a joy talking to you, and it's been the greatest pleasure. At some point, I hope I get to back meeting you in person, and finally
Yeah.
get an espresso made by your hand, because I've heard
Yeah.
so much about it, and people are writing it in the chat as well that you're a virtuoso as a barista as well. So
Yeah. I can do some latte art, really very beautiful things. Yeah. You will get a good cappuccino, by the way, and I'm also good in wine.
let's do it.
I'm not familiar yet, but I'm quite good in wine. So we have to talk one day to make half of a life a talk about these kind of things.
Fantastic. Marco,
I,
thank you so much.
I thank you, Martin, so much. Really, you are a great guy and great musician, and you are doing a great job for the guitar, for the music world, not only on the guitar, but now what concerns us here is the guitar as an instrument. You guys are doing fantastic job. So, and it's not only of putting together things, but putting together with, in the smart way, the way you're doing, your questions also, the people you are selecting on in cello and the piano, really fantastic job. So I thank you, and I hope this platform continues and you continue working so much in whatever platform that you keep on doing.
Wonderful. Marco, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in for today's live stream. We're going to have much more of these wonderful, wonderful live streams. So if you're not a Tonebase subscriber yet, consider starting a trial with us. Then you get to see and to hear much more of Marco, because we have some wonderful productions coming up with him on our platform. And for now, everybody, have a good day. Have a good night wherever you are. Have a good week. And I will see all of you very, very soon. And Marco, again, thank you so much for taking your time.
So much. Love you, man. Take care. And
Bye-bye.
thank you all for listening. Bye-bye. Ciao, ciao.
Wonderful, and bye-bye.